You know, as we, I guess, as we realize that we're not going to be doing much editing, I don't know how important that clap is going to be because we're just going to kind of let Riverside do whatever it's going to do. But either way, welcome back to another episode of the Banker, the Broker, and the Canadian. We've got our broker Jim. We've got our Canadian Reedy, and myself sitting in the banker seat. Although, and I had got some feedback from someone the other day. They said it doesn't seem like y'all talk much about any banking, no brokering, or anything Canadian. What's that all about? So, um, I, I didn't really have a great answer other than just the uniqueness of different perspectives from different areas of the country and very different backgrounds, and discussing topics that everyone can relate to for the most part. And we have another one of those topics today in the idea of success. So that was our thought today. There's a few different concepts that we wanted to share and kick around. And I know that there were some prepared thoughts. So welcome, guys.
Welcome. So
So,
I'll add
Reedy, I
a
wanted
little.
to, yeah, over to you. I know that you had some things that you had in mind that you wanted to share. Man, tell us a little bit about your thoughts around success.
Well, here's to the commenter about not adding an element of ourself into the pod. This is a Canadian take on success, especially here in Vancouver. So when this topic posed to me, I was looking at what is success, and here in Vancouver, success is owning a damn property, owning a home, because it is so hard here in Vancouver. Maybe, for $500,000, you might get a 300 square foot apartment here in Vancouver. It is insane. So I think a lot of Canadians, especially here on the West Coast, idea of success is owning a property or even owning a house. If you own a house, you've made it. And that is, I'm sure where you're from, Jason, it's probably nuts or berserk.
When you just share, I mean, I don't even have a response to that. It's so very different over here. Now, don't get me wrong. There are certain pockets that, $500,000 doesn't get you very far. But in the suburbs with a very easy commute, I mean, less than an hour, probably, 30 or 40-minute commute to downtown New Orleans, $500,000 can get you 2,500 square foot house that is, up to date, if not renovated. If some bit of that capital that you've put into it would get you what you wanted and largely customized. So yeah, it's a very different real estate landscape over here.
Yeah. Yeah. But with that said, I think we all look at success. Well, not we all. In North America, it's very possession, right? The car, the house. And I think we need to flip the
The
script on
image.
that. Yeah. And I'm equally as guilty, but I try to be more mindful that objects don't bring success. And there's a great book that actually talks about it. And Jason, I think you've read it as well. The Happiness Advantage by Shawn Achors. There
I've
we
got
go. We
a
both got our copy. Yeah.
yeah.
So Shawn Achors, for all of you who aren't aware of who he is, he's done some TED Talk. He's a Harvard researcher, and he research on happiness. And one of the greatest thing that I've gotten from this book is flipping the thinking of success, where traditionally we think of success leads us to happiness, right? Where we have a goal, we succeed in this goal, and then it brings happiness. But it's actually the opposite. Once we reach that goal, we want more. We're not quite happy when we reach that goal. We're gonna, we all get there. Hey, my goal is to own a house. I'll be happy when I have a house. So you get the house. Well, I'm not quite happy yet. I need to get the car now to match the house, or I need the better yard. So it just keeps going and going. And what Shawn says is don't look at success leading to happiness, is actually reverse that. When you're happy inside, that will lead to success. And there's a lot of research on that. He's taking what he calls it the outliers, So he's research on who have, in society's opinion, been successful, gotten the highest paid sales job, gotten the highest promotion, or achieved the highest level at what they do. And looking back, the research shows that they were happy on their, internally, their ability. They practice every day. They're crafting their skills. They're not really waiting for the goals to be completed before they're happy. They're happy doing what they're doing day in and day out. And that led to them achieving their goals, which from society's point of view led them to be successful. But the reality is, they weren't happy when they got there. They were already happy doing the grind, doing the day in and day out. So that really got me thinking about really how important happiness is, and flipping the script on, because I have my goal, and as like everyone, I think I'll be happier when I reach that goal, but I have to constantly remind myself it's the journey, it's the day in and day out, and being happy internally. That is actually the real goal. It's not that objective polls that I've artificially put, right?
Sure. Really, that is so great. Thank you for sharing that. And I think you articulated that very well. The idea of flipping it on its head, right? Because happiness is not some external attainment. It's not some external accomplishment. Happiness is a perspective that you maintain, which allows for you to more confidently and more quote unquote successfully experience the world, right? I would imagine that the person with a more pleasant demeanor, and I don't know the research, but I'm guessing Shawn did this, right? The person with a more pleasant demeanor, by and large, is going to be more successful in almost every environment. I don't care what the odds are against them, but be pleasant, right? Like by pattern, by habit, by commitment, by conviction, just present in a habitually pleasant way is going to shake out to serve you best in your endeavors. And one great thing about that though, and you nailed this too, Reedy, is the idea that we ever really, if you would call it, arrive at full and complete satisfaction and contentment, right? There's no such thing as, okay, when I get the money, I'm going to sit on the beach all day and just drink Mai Tais with with the umbrella in my butt. That's not, that doesn't really happen. We're not wired that way. And I think it's wonderful that we're not wired that way, right? How shameful or how terrible would it be that if you earned or grew to a certain amount of external success, and then for the rest of your life, all you did was just, kind of just wallow or just sit and live in this sedentary way that wasn't really contributing to others. And so I like that idea of recognizing that, and I've used this framework a lot, and follow me on this. Success is not over there, right? THERE, right? Happiness is not over there, THERE. Happiness is present right here, HERE, right? And so if we remove that T, right? If we take the T out of the way, and what is the T? The T is our own insecurities, it's our own challenges, it's our own, if you want to use a bit of a kind of a faith-based work, it's our own cross that we have to bear, right? And so to the extent that we're able to work through or overcome our own cross, then we become fully present, we become happy, and then the success is the thing that follows the happiness, right? If it starts from right here. Jim, what thoughts do you have, man? I know that you by from a worldly definition and by my personal definition, you are the epitome of success. So tell us a little bit about your thoughts of it.
I think that, by the book club that I'm in, that Reedy is also in, the happiness advantage to me after reading it became a talk point in going out to dinner and to talking to other people about the question, well, what have you read? And you know, when I share that I just finished Shawn Achor's book, the Happiness Advantage, then that launches a whole nother interesting conversation other than, my dog is sick, or like I'm having struggles at work, or, just small talk about the weather or sports. So, I think that when we come to the plate, if I look at success and were to give some mentoring advice, it would be, it's like a sandwich. In the morning, wake up and determine within your mind and your mindset you're going to be happy that day. Because if you don't, then Grumpy is going to come visit you, hold your hand, love you, and that's the way that you're going to set in the trajectory of the day. So at the very beginning of the day, wake up and decide to be happy. And so that is a personal decision that you'll need to make in order to start this upward tree of that day. And you'll be amazed at the people that say comments to you like, "Oh, you look like you're in a good mood today. Wow, you have such positive energy. Jason, Reedy, I want to go get coffee with you." Like it just attracts. And so that's why I think that success really is, the happiness advantage. So the sandwich, the beginning of the day is the bread on top. Wake up and be happy. Decide. The meat of the day is putting that thing into action. Maybe, I have a vibe or a quote that is motivational in a conversation that I'd like to share with you. Yeah, we can talk about sports, we can talk about real estate, we can talk about what our kids are doing, and how our dog had eye surgery. What about just the core things here, guys and gals? But wake up and be happy. Then the meat of the day in the sandwich, whatever you put in there, bologna, ham, tuna fish, vegetarian, vegetables only, mayonnaise, no, mustard, that, it'll all set and be, like now half of a sandwich. But the other part, the other slice of the bread is at the end of the day, also do some reflection on success. What does it mean to me? If it means that I carried the happiness advantage all day long, then you have a build of a sandwich. The beginning, to wake up and be happy, let the meat of the day run that positive trajectory in your life. And at the end of the day, put the other slice of the bread on there and decide and take a quick assessment on how successful I was by trying to be happy today and using that advantage in my life, both in the workplace and also in your personal.
Hey, Jim, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So, as Jason has already alluded, in every definition of success in our society, you are if you looked at the dictionary, it'd be a picture of you full blown on there, with living in Hawaii, successfully ran a real estate company. You live in a beautiful area in Seattle. So having reached all that goal and that success, are you satisfied? Do you stop and just drink a Mai Tai at the beach? Is this it for your life? You can pass away and be happy, or does that keep going for you? Do you have more, I guess, ambition, more drive to keep doing more?
That's a good question. I think that, the drive never ends until the day before I die, wherever that is. And so it's always there. It's built in. I'm constantly looking for financial and other opportunities in life to be able to help other people and grow with them. Whenever, excuse me, whenever I help other people, somehow it just 10x's my life in every area. So I think that I don't actually do it that way, but like I thought back in the olden days, early in my marriage, we bought a house together instead of having a big wedding. Maybe some people would think of us as frugal, Other people would say to us, I can't afford a house. Um, you know, I see that struggle, and that a lot of us, including me at that point in my life in my 20s and 30s, and striving to buy that first house was in some ways about 80% of what I would consider being successful. So I get it. But I can share with you too, after you get there, if you're satisfied and you just want to, hang out and, be happy with that one house, then probably that's not the wisest choice in real estate. But that may not be your gig. It's not for everybody because it's really, really hard. It's not something that just, you know, even if it's given to you, it still has to be run efficiently with the operations and the financial parts as well. But I think that some people like myself, after my wife and I got our first house, that didn't end the success at all. It just was like maybe a milestone in life, as something as a personal achievement. Great. I'm so happy for me and for you if you do that. But at the same time, I don't care if you rent all your life. You can be happy. You can wake up and be successful in this life, be a contributor. And so, the question again always is, you look successful, but are you happy? And so
Sure.
always make sure that your spiritual growth, your physical growth, your mental growth, and try really hard on the financial growth every single day. It adds up. It gets back to any challenge we have in life, and this is for me, post 4-level fusion lumbar back surgery, is that I never tried to get 100% better or even better than I was before the surgery. Change the directory. Look at another book and say, I'm just going to be 1% better today. And that's how you build success. And you only focus on getting 1% better today. And some days you may achieve it, some days you won't. But that's how you really build and get your first house, get your first income property, get your first promotion, is wake up and be happy, realize what the why of success is for you, and then execute it. And sometimes, like what Jason is doing with the Anchor Academy, we really, truly need to be accountable in this life. We need to give, but also we need to join communities. And if you don't have a community, I'm new to Hawaii. I don't have a community. I had to start with ground zero. But, if there are friends and family in your community that are not supporting you, then find something like what Jason has going in the Anchor Academy, and start looking beyond your community and find something. It's there. It's there.
It's
Even
it's
the
a,
Jim,
it's a
thank
good
you.
Anchor
That's a,
Academy is anyway. That was long-winded, but I hope it was helpful.
no,
no,
Jim,
it's
you made. Go ahead, Reedy.
no, it's a good point, Jim. I mean, you're at a stage where we all view you as successful, but as you alluded, it's like a rainbow. You're always chasing success, no matter how much you've gained and how successful you are. You're always chasing it. So why not enjoy the journey, right? And be happy, wake up happy, and I know a lot of people are realizing how much gratitude helps their life. But going back to your point on joining the community, it's actually one of the key pillars that Shawn Achor says in the Happiness Advantage. And I'll just quickly try to share with you one take. He says, "Twice as much successful requires twice as much friends." And what he meant by that is there's a research on Harvard students who have achieved higher grades. The ones that are hunkering down alone in the library studying on their own has on average worse grade than the ones who join a group and study together as a group, share their expertise in a certain area while trying to learn on other areas where maybe they're a little bit weak on or they're unfamiliar on. And then as they collaborate as a group, those group tend to have a higher average score. So going on what you're saying is find your tribe, find your group, and help elevate each other. Because as you know, as you teach others what you're passionate about and what you're inherently an expert about, others will teach you what they're passionate about, you know, and what they have more experience or expertise about, right? Sorry, Jason, you go ahead.
You're good, Reed. Thank you for sharing that. To your point, it is a human connection, right? The idea of being involved in a community is something that if you don't have it, there is a bit of a hole or there is a bit of a gap in your fulfillment if you don't have someone to share things with. I'm not saying being alone isn't healthy, because I mentioned this recently, a lot of work gets done alone, right? A lot of work that you need to do for yourself happens separate and apart from the others. But once that work is either completed or accomplished to a certain extent, the way that you display that growth, the way that you display that development is the way that you interact, by the way that you interact with others. What type of love do you share with others? What type of acceptance do you share with others? And what do the strength of those relationships look like? It's a large indicator of how much work you've done by yourself. But I want to drill into, before we wrap, we're not going to be much longer. Drill into a couple of points that Jim made. The first one is the idea of it being a decision. Deciding to be successful is one of the key components of it, right? So if you just continue to meander along and just kind of wallow and just accept this mediocre lifestyle and this mediocre attitude, then it's not going to, it's never really going to kind of just fall in your lap, right? These ideas of lucky, right? Yeah, the luckier, the harder you work, the luckier you get, right? That's kind of the thought. So the idea of deciding to be successful was key. And then another point that Jim mentioned was defining it for yourself. And the reason why that's so important is because if we don't define it for ourselves, we all know that society is ready to define things for us, right? And so all the propaganda that's out there and all the ways that people interact on social media and otherwise, they're ready to tell you what needs to be important to you, right? They're ready to tell you what success needs to look like for you. So unless we define it for ourselves, then we might not recognize it when we have it. Right. And so you might open your eyes one day and arrive at your own personal definition of success. And next thing you know, you're like, son of a bitch, I'm pretty successful, right? I'm pretty successful. This actually is success by my definition. Right? It doesn't need to be success by someone else's definition. You know, what's the balance sheet look like? Yeah, that plays a role in it. You know, what type of accommodations you have? Yeah, that plays a role in it. What kind of title do you have? I don't know how much that plays a role in it. But I know for me, and I'm going to get off the soapbox, but for me, I'm going to define success for myself, and it's just one little sliver of something that points to how I look at success, and it fits well with this idea. There was a study that was done, a long-term study, and again, I'm terrible at quoting specific research analysts or specific people who conducted the studies or timeframes or all that, but this was the general idea. I'll give you the synopsis. They studied a group of people over an extended period of time, and they measured many different aspects of their life. And ultimately, they wound up determining that the number one factor that contributed to someone saying that and feeling like they were successful and that they were happiest that they could be had to do with the strength and the quality of their closest relationships. And so you can have this idea of doubling your connections and having a double chance of success. That's great. But what is the true quality of the closest relationships to you? So I'll give you my own personal situation with that. See this cup right here that I have, right? It says, in case of emergency, call Jason. It says hashtag source of all wisdom. Okay. And you might be surprised as to who gave me this cup. Okay. A lot of people have problems with their in-laws, right? And they have this contentious relationship and they're frustrated about all that. My mother-in-law gave me this cup. So that gives you a little bit of an idea on how strong that relationship is. And we're very close to them. And so that to me is a way of defining success for me, to say that my mother-in-law looks at me and respects me as someone who might be a source of wisdom for her. Whether it's a joke or not, I don't know. She never really told me that it was a gag gift. So I'm going to continue telling the story that she gave it to me because she actually feels that way, right? Yeah, that's just a few thoughts on kind of the success idea.
Jason, that study you're referring to is actually the Harvard study of adult development. It is actually the longest running study. It started in 1938, and it was following a group of boys from Boston in the slums or village areas, and it studied them all the way through until they're seniors. So it's a great study, and it's correct what you're saying. Those who have succeeded or accomplished career-wise and are, in their definition, are happier, are the ones that have strong connections. And it's no secret. I think they looked at some of the happiest people in the world from either North America, first world country, third world country, and they found that the happiest people were, I can't remember what country, but somewhere in near Mongolia.
I was going to say it's probably
Bhutan,
yeah.
I think it's Bhutan. And part of the reason is they have a sense of community. They have a sense of connection, and they're not the richest or wealthiest, but that sense of community made them happy, right?
That's great. Well, guys, I think that's about all the time we have. Any closing thoughts from you, Jim, or are we good?
I think we're good. If I were to say one thing to encourage those out there in your happiness journey, is just go find one or two people this week that are attractive to you in the area of success, and don't be afraid, no matter how much money or whatever they have in life. 3 out of 5 people in this world are lonely, and that includes all of us that have a huge measure of a success or not. And so develop your community by finding 2 people. Just reach out. If they say no, move on to the next person, right? You got to keep trying. And if you want to be successful, try to find 1 or 2 people this week that you think are successful, and just reach out and ask them for a simple cup of coffee. It's $1 or $2, and a little bit of your time. But I think that would be my encouragement to anybody who is looking to enhance their lives and to continue to be better.
That's a great thought, Jim. Thanks for sharing.
And ask
Rudy,
them just for their things as well.
That's great. Rudy, any closing thoughts?
Just, success isn't a destination; it's a journey. So just keep that in mind. If you think of success as a destination, you're always trying to climb the next mountain once you reach that. But shift your mindset and view success as a journey.
That's great. The last thought I might share is just the idea of being reminded of how successful you already have been, right? And so I'm not saying that, rest on successes of the past and kind of coast moving forward. But what I've experienced is oftentimes people tell themselves this sad story like they're not a success. But the truth is that you've survived to this point. You've gotten to this point. You've overcome so many different challenges and difficulties and hurdles in your life. So just the fact that you've endured and gotten to this point is a success in and of itself. Celebrate that, highlight that, and be reminded of that. And I think that will aid you in your future ventures and the confidence that you might carry into your next summit. So love y'all. Thank you. Y'all be cool. Peace.
Peace. Bye-bye.